Leeds is the financial hub of the North. It makes it's the second biggest financial earner after London. The work starts before you quit.
Absolutely.
Before you leave that thing that you want to do, the work's already started. Failing is an important part of the process in terms of winning. You can't control how you feel about something.
Exactly.
You can't. In fact, you cannot control your mind.
Yes.
You can control your ego. Again, because I'm a visual artist as well. Like, everything is like a story, a movie in my head before.
Right.
Yeah, before I try to get it on a canvas. So.
Yes, guys, welcome to another episode of Let Inspiration Take Over podcast. Guys, if I tell you today, inspiration has taken over and it will be taking over this entire podcast as we go along, because I have a very special guest. And I know I say that a lot. I think I'm like the Breakfast Club now. Always saying I have a very special guest, but this man is an artist, right? Initially, when I was looking into him, I saw that he does music, he does rap. I saw a few of his videos on YouTube, really creative. And I thought I'm getting myself, a rapper onto the podcast so he can come and tell us what he does and that sort of thing. Little did I know I was actually getting a lot more than just a man that raps. This man is a director, right? Yeah. He is a rapper, producer, musician, writer, and so many other beautiful things. So I'm quite excited to jump into the work, to jump into the process of what he does and that sort of thing. And mainly that's partly why I started this podcast, to be able to get behind what people do in their craft and that sort of thing. But before we get straight into it, Ntantu, please give us a brief introduction of yourself to our listeners and our viewers.
Oh, thank you, man. That was an amazing intro. Thank you.
It's inspired, right?
Yeah, no, like you said, I'm a rapper. I don't like to just. And the thing is, I don't mind being put in a box because it says what it does on the tin, that type of thing. But I'm a producer, songwriter, artist, performer. What else do I do? I'm a director, a writer, producer, film producer. I run a film production company. I think I'm pretty much an all-round creative. I do a lot. Yes. Quite a DIY type of person where.
One-man band, or do you have a team?
No, there's a team in place.
Oh, okay.
There's a few of us. There's a few of us that sort of work together.
No, that's great, bro.
So I think I've slowly built a network of like-minded people who I consider my team. So
that's brilliant, bro. That's exactly my vision, my dream. I think when we were speaking earlier, I was telling you about the vision, for the podcast and the brand that is LiT and what I intend to do. And it's like, that's why I say this is God-sent and it's a divine connection, because you're the epitome of where I want to be and what I want to do, because a lot of elements of what you're doing is exactly what I want to do. So, going to media. So it involves producing videos, producing audio, which you do. You deal in sound. You do video production. He's already been giving me some really good tips, man. I was just smiling. I was like, bro, listen.
Yeah, I think you know what, all of that takes time, and the thing is, it's like I've always had like a saying, and I've always stuck to it. Always be student of the game. Always be a student of the game. Whatever you do, if you humble yourself to the point where you're always trying to better yourself, or you're just trying to learn, or you're trying to grow, or some sort of thing like that. Everything that you put your mind to when it comes to sort of like video production or music or production, producing video or editing, all of those things will sort of come into they'll all sort of come into play, tying together, and you'll find that after a while it's like, oh mad, like maybe 2 years ago I didn't even know what this was. Now I'm sort of like running and people are paying me for my services, or people are paying me to jump on a song or produce a song from, or something like that. So
definitely, bro.
Yeah, man.
You were telling me about color grading, right? I think we use similar software for editing, like Final Cut Pro. But I'm like, bruh, I haven't even got into the stage where I'm dealing with like color grading and other bits.
This is the thing is, and I think also you can be very good at a lot of things, or you can just focus on just being great at one thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And you got to decide what's the benefit of just being great at one thing over being really good at a lot of different things. Just because I find that with for me, I needed to do that on my journey so that I can then, when I get to the point where, oh, actually, I've got no time to do this, but I understand this world, I can then approach someone who's a better version of what I wanted to be, to do this, like a director or a music producer or a mixing engineer, mastering engineer. I'll just approach, cause they that's all they do. They're experts at that. So that when you've built to the point where you need now that sort of extra support, then you understand the game. Yeah. Like I've had a lot of mixing engineers when I've sent them stems or stuff like that saying, oh, this is the best, like, organized. No, not that. It's just, this is the best organized music that I've ever seen in terms of like the files and the names. And it's because I come from that background. You get me? So
I'm still learning about that.
Yeah. So
because
I've been through that. So the benefit of that is that it makes that process and those relationships so much more stronger because I understand that world. You get me? I understand that side of things. So when I'm speaking to someone about doing something for me as an artist or as a creative or working with a team on a project, it means that I'm able to sort of relate to them in a different way compared to someone who just does, I just do this, I just do that. And So
definitely. And I think that I've learned very quickly, you were saying about file organization, which is absolutely key, especially when you're going back, having to redo, certain things and that sort of thing. Memory is something that I had to learn very quickly that is important, right? External drive and things like that, and memory cards. I had 64 gigabytes before memory cards, and they weren't doing the job. So I had to go back in, spend a little bit more money on more memory, buy hard drive, and I think I still need more hard drives. And
the thing for me is that, like, when you get into a workflow, you start understanding, we're recording a long video today or whatever. Yeah. Then it's like, okay, you start realizing that is the first point where you need to think about. Like it's like, if I've got a client project, I will charge them for the time of doing the work and also for a hard drive.
And the hard drive as well?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You have to factor that in. It's part of the workflows. Yeah. I can't do this job without getting this. Basically, I need the storage. Yeah. They want this happening. Yeah. Okay, you got to pay for the storage. Wow. So it's just literally one of the things where you start working out, oh, what's my workflow? Okay, this is my workflow. Okay, I need this. But if I'm going to do this, especially if you're doing it for someone else, then it's like they've got to invest in that because you can't do your job without that piece of equipment to help your workflow. So that's it. Yeah, bro.
Exactly. And it's costly as well. So it costs you money. So it's understandable.
I've got like maybe 20 hard drives.
Really?
Stacked, and it's like,
I'm probably going to have about the same.
You build up a library.
I'll be adding on, but bro, we'll be jumping into very quickly a city that I'm very fond of myself, which is Leeds. Leeds. From the city of Leeds, right? So I want to ask you some questions. Yes, brother. So city of Leeds, as we were saying, that city is very near and dear to me. I went to university there. I've made some friends there. I met my wife there. Nice. I got saved there, church and all that kind of stuff, right? So this is why I wanted to start. Usually I start with background, right? Formative years and things like that. We'll get to that, right? That's why we're going to get to that. But Leeds. Leeds. Yes, bro. Tell us a little bit about that. I think a question that I came up with was, what does that city mean to you personally?
You know what? Like I've been asked for this before, and the main thing for me is kind of like just Leeds represents almost like a version of an underdog, where like we are a very big city in the UK, and a lot of people who are outside who don't really know what's going on in the city, kind of think that we're just almost like farmers or sheep, right? Whatever, you get me? So
a lot of Londoners.
Well, this is specifically London,
right? And they're the ones that, before you even continue, they're the ones that are doing a lot of podcasts and things like that. So because I'm getting started, as I say, I'm on the ground level, guys. We're coming for you. No, we're not. Go on.
Nah, but like I'm saying, like it that representation of being the underdog and just like always being underestimated, but always out doing what you were supposed to achieve or you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I think the city, like at the moment, is thriving and it's in a good place.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like again, I grew up most of my life there. I've got like friends who I consider family.
Brilliant.
Over there.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Chapeltown is
right. Okay.
very community
based.
Yeah, in terms of like everyone knows each other. Like
yeah.
Like families cross over, and the girl up the road like knows my brethren that I went to school with, and you know what I mean,
and
literally
that's where the carnival happens as well. There's a barbershop that'll give you a shout.
Yeah. So I think again, like Leeds is a very small city when it comes to socializing in terms of like generational, like in terms of like a certain generation, like everyone knows everyone basically. Definitely. There's a scene basically they call it.
Yeah.
But I think again, like Leeds means a lot to me in terms of like just again my class is home. And yeah, it's especially like with everything that's happening now, things are starting to move, and that's the beauty of like.
Absolutely. There's a lot of development going on in Leeds, isn't it? Apparently people just keep building.
Apparently it's the fastest developing city in Europe, apparently.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, apparently.
I thought that would have been Manchester because...
The thing with Manchester is back in the day after like they had the bombing in the Arndale years and years ago, there was a lot of investment put into Manchester, and that was sort of rebuilding the whole city basically, building it up. And a lot of other cities haven't had that same investment, but now obviously the government and other places are starting to see actually there's opportunities here, an opportunity to do this here. Leeds is the financial hub of the north. It makes it's the second biggest financial earner after London.
No way, this man's done his research, you know. That's brilliant, bro. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I know this.
Educated me. Yeah.
I'm from the city, and so
definitely,
you hear things
bro.
and stuff. So again, it's a big city. A lot of people from outside don't
think it's small.
I mean, the town centre. If you think about the town centre, it's not as big as Manchester, but the actual city, the whole radius of the city where people live and stuff,
it's massive.
It's huge.
Do you know when I've learnt that? Like I told you, I work for Amazon, delivering and things like that. That's when I've learned how big the city of Leeds is.
That's what I'm saying.
Pudsey and all these other places, all these small pockets.
You can't get from one end to Leeds to the other without it taking you like a couple of hours or maybe definitely over an hour.
Exactly.
So
right. Yeah.
It's one of them ones where like. Because it's so like the issue is there's not enough developed transport links or networks there. They were supposed to build a tram line back in like a few years ago. Supposed to start building it and it never happened.
Something happened.
It never happened. Basically, they pulled the plug because they were building the HS2 line or whatever. But now even that's been cut off. So like the Tories have cut that off. So
what is that about?
Anyway, but like. The whole thing is literally just a case of like, it seems like it's small because you can't. It doesn't feel like when you get in from one point to the other it's connected. But I mean, it's a big city. You get me?
That's well explained. Because I thought it was small as well. Like
yeah.
But when people say it's one of the largest cities,
it's huge. It's big. Obviously, it's relative, innit? But like in terms of like size for like. Population and per capita and stuff, it's big. It's a big city. So like
no, that's a schooling that I've gotten. That I knew about the city. But having said that, I did want to jump into or start where I usually start, which is your foundation, right, bro? As I said, I've looked at a bit of what you do. Even just listening to you telling me your work, it's pretty amazing, if I may say so. The creativity is mad. There's a video that I was watching on YouTube, Glory it's called, right? Just the optics. Did you direct that? Yeah, bro. I was thinking this is some really good work. Do you get what I mean? The beat is on point. I was there vibing. In fact, we're gonna play it in a little bit later on. when I connect.
Yeah.
So, but before we even jump into the work, because I know we're going to go down the rabbit hole, we're not doing that yet, right? But I'm just saying there is the work, and you know, you're doing bits here. I know you're getting your name out there and that sort of thing. For people that do that, for me, I always like to find out where it all began, right? So the first question I'll ask you is, where are you from originally, right? Yeah. And you know, were you born in England or?
No, you know it's mad, yeah. Like I wasn't actually born here. So I was actually born in Congo. So
really?
My family's Congolese heritage.
Brilliant, yeah.
So my dad was a very, I wouldn't say well-renowned, but he was very sought after university maths professor. So he was quite, he was the leading figure in his field for like statistical maths or whatever.
Really? Yeah, that was making sense in Ntantu, right?
So we bounced around a couple different places. So like we were in South Africa for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah. So I kind of had a little taste of sort of like growing up there.
Really?
And then and then moved to the UK. And then literally been here since I was a kid. So it's like everything that I know is pretty much literally
about the UK
is being here. It's literally this is why I class as home.
You go. That's for me as well. Yeah. I mean, how much time did you spend in Congo?
Literally, like I was born there. That's it.
Oh, okay. So you were born there and then lived in South Africa. And
then, bounced around. Okay. And then we came here and then I've been here literally for most of my life. So it's like
brilliant.
This is what I class as home.
There you go. Yeah, no, I hear you fully, bro. But so take us back a little bit into your formative years, perhaps like school and that sort of thing. What I always say probably is I'll sound like a broken record, but it's your upbringing, growing up, and perhaps as it relates to what you're doing now. Can you take us back a little bit to some of those moments when you were younger? What are some of your experiences, growing up and that sort of thing, as it relates, creativity and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been quite creative. Like I did art in school.
Brilliant.
So that was one thing. The one thing about art, I found it really not so much easy, but just it wasn't difficult. It wasn't like a struggle. It like a lot of other subjects that you do at school. You just think, I've got to do geography today. I've got to do English today.
Maths. That is a genius, but maths for me,
yeah. But art was kind of like you can express yourself. You know what I mean? You kind of. It's a bit of freedom. Yeah, you get tasks and you do tasks, but it's you're creating something. So your mind is actively making something, is creating something. So I think anything where and a lot of people they say, "Oh, I'm not artistic," but I think everyone is artistic in some sort of way. Yeah. Especially if you have a job where you make things. If you're a plumber, if you're a carpenter, if you're someone who builds, I don't know. Furniture or whatever. You are an artist.
Absolutely.
You're an architect. You're an artist. If you've designed the way your house looks and you planned it in a certain way, that's art. It's something that you've created. You've not physically made the products, but you've put them and you placed them in a certain way. You've arranged it in a certain way. It functions in a way that you like, that you love. So it's all art. You get me? So I've always had that intrinsic thing where I've needed or wanted to express myself. Like I've always been into music. My family was very like a household where music would be played out loud.
Similar to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So literally like in Saturdays in the kitchen, we had a massive sound system. Mum would play like her songs and gospel songs and
there you go.
And like we grew up listening to artists like Koffi Olomide.
Bro, that was our guy, yes.
And
Papa Wemba, Yondo Sisters,
and
Zaiko Langa Langa. Bro, listen, that is my childhood. Why are you talking about my childhood right now? Gospel music. And absolutely. Go ahead.
So basically from a really young age, music has always been somewhere
and it was
and my parents would have like parties and stuff, and house parties, and we literally like invite all their friends and our family around and stuff like that, and literally music was
Playing.
massive important thing.
Wow.
What's being played,
Yes.
who's being played, that would all get organized before. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, that
big.
is
It was a big thing in my house.
Yeah,
It wasn't really pushed to do an instrument. I always loved the piano. Even when I was in school, like we did music lessons in school. My music teacher was always saying you need to really go
to be doing something.
Well,
yeah.
she said I really think that you should do piano lessons because
Really?
I wasn't trained, but
Bro.
I had a thing for sort of like pattern recognition, understanding how to play, remembering how to play a song, learning how to play a song, that type of thing. So that was one thing that I didn't really get pushed to do at home because I think from an African parent's point of view, if you're not, unless you were really like brought up playing instruments in church or something like that, it's not really a career path. It's not
but,
really, so you don't get pushed to do that. Which again is fine, but I found that in a different way. So
Do you know the funny thing with that though? Teaching you an instrument, it's not just about you going into that craft. It's education. It's teaching you how to be skillful. It's 100%. Teaching you how to be cognitive and things like that. I didn't get taught an instrument, but my parents pushed me to do judo. So there was a man that came here that I spoke to. His name's Gordon, and he's a former Commonwealth judo champion. He was really passionate about judo, and he didn't know I was too. I was learning judo from when I was 7 years old.
Nice,
just training and all that kind of stuff. But what I didn't know, I say to him as well, is that I was learning something just beyond the sport. So he was teaching me about competition, discipline, emotion. Time management, right?
It's funny you say that because I did martial arts as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
that's brilliant, bro.
Mixed martial arts when I was younger.
Yeah,
and I did it all the way up to like orange or green belt, I think. Like that. So I was very athletic when I was younger. So I did lots of sports. I did athletic. I did athletics. Sorry, I did martial arts, football, rugby, a little bit of cricket.
There you go.
So I was very sort of like active when it came to like doing sports.
Yeah.
And then again, like you said, it teaches you discipline, how to work as a team, training, the importance of training, the importance of trying to get better, the importance of
dealing with loss.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Losing.
Very important.
Yes.
Because I've noticed in the society we live in, there are people that don't know how to lose. So much so that they're changing the rules now. Yeah. There's no losing anymore. Everyone's a winner. But then how does that work exactly?
I'm not a believer in like, when you give people participation medals.
That's what I'm saying. What's that about? Just work hard and push. And
I think there's a strong. So let's just bring let's get deep on this.
Yes, let's go.
So there's a massive and a profound sort of thing at the moment where I am a big believer in making sure that you fail at something. Right. Reason being is not just to get used to failing, or understanding that you can't always win, but it's also understanding that when you are in a situation where your back's against the wall, okay, how am I going to get myself out of this?
Exactly.
How are we going to, next time that happens, how am I going to adjust and do something different so that I get a different result?
Absolutely.
So failing is an important part of the process in terms of winning.
Absolutely.
In terms of where in my career path, in terms of music wise, I had a lot of people that have told me no. I've had a lot of things where I thought, this is definitely going to work, where I put thousands of pounds behind a song or £1,000 behind market or something, didn't work.
Absolutely.
So you have to go through the motions. You have to be comfortable with failure, with losing, in order to be like, because if you don't have that resilience to keep going after the first or 3 or 4 times that something's not worked, a lot of people just give up.
Absolutely.
And I saw a quote the other day where if you give up, you're gonna know the result. You already know the result of what's gonna happen if you give up.
Yeah.
So you might as well keep going.
Absolutely.
If it's something that you're passionate about, if you love it, if it's something that especially if you've been working a long time at it, there's absolutely no point in giving up, because you never know. It's like people, there's also another analogy where it's like a digger that's digging for gold, and it shows 2 graphs.
Yes.
And the one person stops, but he was so
before.
he's so close to getting to the promised land, walks away, where the other person's still going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think again, failing is important, and that again, I think being very athletic and being involved in a lot of different sports, a lot of different disciplines. I did a little bit of boxing training as well.
Oh, brilliant!
For a little bit, it was not very long, maybe a few months.
Okay,
but I understood. Again, you pick up little things from doing different experiences, and that again helps you to have a better picture, a better view of how number one, not just how the world works, but also how people work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and knowing how people work is very important to understanding yourself, even.
Yes.
Because I always say when you ask someone for advice or you ask someone for their opinion. You shouldn't really go off what they say. You should really go off, how do I feel about what
they've said? And how can I take that? And actually make it my own.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? No wonder there's this saying. I don't know if it's the Americans that say it, to say like, take the meat and leave the bones. Right? So somebody might be saying something. It might be outlandish. It doesn't mean you have to take everything that they say. That's why there's something that you said about knowing yourself. Do you know when you know yourself, somebody will be able to even give you harsh criticism, but you know what to take in and what not to take in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it touches a nerve and you feel offended, then ask yourself why. Why did that thing make you feel that 100%. Way? And go look into it. But most people don't want to do the work. They would rather just go.
And you know what? That happened to me recently. So like we've just finished the project.
Yeah.
I showed it to someone who I highly respect their opinion.
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't the fact that they were saying negative things. It was the fact that I was asking myself, like, why is he seeing these things? Like he's basically saying certain things.
Right.
Why wasn't I aware of that as a possibility?
Oh, right. Okay.
And that was what was making me sort of like, it wasn't hitting a nerve. It was more sort of like, it was in the back of my mind thinking. I was just confused. It left me confused. Right. So it's like, how come he's seeing this when I painted this picture? Yeah. And it's and in my head it looks like this. Yeah. But why is that person seeing that? Yeah. Why is he seeing that picture and not what I've wanted people to paint? Yeah. But then I had to go back and realize that people's experiences are different. So the way people absorb information, the way people take in something, it's going to be completely different to how I take it. Things, So at that point, then I stopped feeling sort of like, not emotional by it, but I stopped feeling anxious. It was more like an anxiousness where I was just questioning myself a little bit. Just like do I need to go change some stuff? And then I was like, no, I don't need to change anything. This is my project,
and this is how I want it to be.
Exactly,
brother.
If someone doesn't take it in the same way that it's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
And sometimes I think it's good to sit on it as well and process it. What you've just said, sit with it and really sometimes let it marinate, because in the moment, if somebody's criticizing your work, it can it's emotional. Especially it's like the work that you've poured in everything into, and you've been having sleepless nights, and somebody critiques it. That's something I'm learning as well. Sometimes I don't take it too well, but then I will process it. Even if I don't take it well in the moment, I'll go back and I still act on it. My actions has got nothing to do with the fact that I'll actually do something about the criticism.
You can't control how you feel about something.
Exactly.
You can't. In fact, you cannot control your mind.
Yes.
You can control your ego.
Yes.
But you
and
can't.
Your actions, or how you can control how you react to it. You can't control how you feel about it.
Exactly. So there is a thing where a difference between you not controlling how to feel about something and then also choosing not to feel a certain way about something. So for instance, if I'm annoyed at what's something that you said, I can choose. I've got the choice in my head to say I'm not going to react to that. It's annoyed me, but I'm not going to react to that because in the grand scheme of things, it's not important. Yeah, it's not important. It doesn't do anything. All it's going to do is fueling my ego and their ego. Yeah. So instead of reacting to it, like you said, I can choose not to be upset by it. Yeah, I can choose that. Whereas actually, my feelings about it, I feel annoyed, but I can choose to not let it consume me, that annoyance, and be like, right, okay, let that go, just let it go. And so that's a perfect example of sort of like knowing how to feel about something, choosing how to feel about something, and also knowing that you can't control that feeling sometimes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The importance of knowing yourself, knowing your work is so much will come. Like people will always be telling you something that they think you should do this way, that they think you should take this approach and that sort of thing, but they're not in it. You know, the minute you allow doubt to creep in, it can affect your work. It's kind of dangerous. No wonder I say, you know, what you've said, you've articulated it perfectly, so I won't even repeat it, but it's important to know, because you know your process, you know how you do things, but don't second guess yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Don't second guess. And that's something that I used to do quite a bit, where it's like, I know I did that thing right, but something has gone off, and I'll now be second guessing things that I shouldn't be second guessing, which affects the grander picture. And then I realized, that wasn't even anything to do with me. It was the technicals. I'd left the thing on. So, you know.
So, again, you learn from experiences. Exactly. So next time you won't be worried, because you already know, I know this. I know what the problem is. I've double checked
and triple checked. Exactly. And
if it's definitely not what I thought it is, that means it's something to do with something that's out of my control.
Exactly.
I think letting go of control is
a hard thing to do.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like,
for me anyway,
it's like people like, and I do this quite a lot. My missus says that I do this a lot, where I'm always looking for the blame in something else. Where I'm saying, if that sign needs to be that. That sign needs to be. But then it's kind of like you take the personal responsibility on board, and you think, right, okay, boom. Next time, I will look for this. No, I will look for this, so that I know that I've done everything I could have done to avoid this. But if it happens, then it's like, okay, cool.
It's happened.
And the thing, it's out of my control.
Yeah.
But because the thing of when things are out of your control and people look to blame, the government does this.
It's these people. It's that. What about yourself? What accountability and what responsibility are you taking on? And it's a sensitive subject, because some people don't really like to take it. But what you've said is so right, in that, look within yourself. Look at what is it you can do. What's your part? Because in any scenario, even if, let's say, yes, there's fault somewhere else and somebody else has done it, if you look hard enough, you find that there's also some responsibility and accountability on your part. I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this whole journey, before I started the podcast, or I elevated it to the level where it is now, I even want to elevate it even more.
Yeah.
I was at a point where I wanted to buy all this stuff at the same time. I didn't know where the money was going to come from, and all these other things are coming along. And I'm thinking, oh God, this world, you know, I want this, but I can't have it.
Yeah.
And I say to myself, do you know what? I'm going to make this happen. What ways can I do? What does it mean for me to be able to bring this thing to life? And the path was, okay, starters, get a job that is a graft. That will mean it's a lot of hours, a lot of hard work. Money is good, but then you are grafting that will allow you the flexibility, and then just buy the things one at a time. And that's exactly what I did of 8 months. I keep telling this story. Sorry again, guys, but it's exactly so. That was the path to me getting what I needed to get. But somebody else might say, what? I'm not doing that job, because it is a hustle. It's a graft. It leaves you feeling some type of way.
Yeah, you know? People, they want success, but they don't want to work hard.
No.
And like, I'm trying to get some of my brothers, my younger brothers, to sort of to understand this, where the end goal of where you want to be, the roadmap to where you think you need to go is never going to be that way.
The same.
It's never going to be the same. No. So sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do.
Absolutely.
In order to invest that time that you have put in terms of the money, because time is money, literally. You literally pay, people pay you for their time.
Absolutely.
So that time that you invested in doing something that you don't want to do, reinvest that money, and then you use that to fund whatever you want to do. Perfect. Fund your dreams.
Perfectly articulated. Yes.
Yeah. So then you get to the point where once you've got to the point where your dream is now making
sustainable,
making some sort of income or whatever, then you might get to the point where actually I can quit my job now. it might not be for a while that you make the same amount of money, but
Yeah.
you can survive on doing this.
Yes, you have to earn your
Yeah.
way out.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
exactly what you said, you know, it might be that it's a period of hard labor and a period of long hours, maybe a year, maybe even 2 years. But you know, if in your head you know that you're only doing this on a temporary basis because you're buying your freedom, why not?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. So I used to work for a bank, right?
Okay.
Great job. Like the culture in that place was amazing.
Brilliant.
Pay was great. You know what I mean? So I was nice. But that wasn't where I wanted
For
to
you.
be.
Exactly.
And
You're
every day,
creative,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Every day I get into the office and it was kind of like,
why am I here?
yeah, I'd rather be here. When you pull up social media or you see someone
Doing
something that you want, I was like, I need to be there.
Yeah.
And I was really getting to the point where I was almost not depressed, but it
was
started
affecting
stress.
you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I hear you, bro.
So
I hear you. Yeah.
So I got basically at the same time I was doing my music. I was also doing video work.
Right. Okay.
But it wasn't full-time sustainable. I got an opportunity, but the only way I would have ever got that opportunity is if I didn't put the work in on the side as a side hustle to grow, to sort of learn and to have experience. I wouldn't have had that opportunity to then leave my job. So there's
from a banker to what you're doing.
Yeah. So it's if you think about like how people get from going from working full time to sort of like running their own business or like starting their own enterprise. The work starts before you quit.
Absolutely.
Before you leave that thing that you want to do, the work's already started.
It has to start there, because if you just quit your thing saying you're doing something else, I don't know what you're doing.
Exactly, yeah.
Because that's not how life works. You've got responsibilities, you've got things that you have to do. It's interesting that you've said that, bro, because I had a lawyer here, a former lawyer last week who's now into property. She's a property manager now. Nice. And that's how she transitioned as well. She was in law, she studied for 6 years to be a lawyer, but then she realized that that's not where she wanted to be and that's not what she wanted to do. The money was good and everything else, but it just wasn't for her. So she also transitioned. I asked her the question. I was like, did you quit before you start? She's nope. She actually spent a small fortune to invest in the courses to be able to do what she's doing now. And she's doing what she's doing now. She's loving it.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
So we've had a lawyer. There's a banker here that's transitioned. It's fantastic.
And the thing is, you'll know about this now as well, because you've invested in sort of everything that you need to invest in.
Oh, yes, bro.
People are all the thing that's stopping people from going from on leaving their jobs is they're scared to invest.
Yes.
Because they are not used to failing. Because that feeling of failure, if I spend all this money and then it doesn't go the way I feel, I'm going to feel bad.
Terrible.
But if you get used to failing, if you in terms of like understanding, actually I'm fine. Like
absolutely.
Like okay, we spent $4,000,
and then it didn't
I've
work.
still got my life, I've still got my family, I've still got this. You start to evaluate what is actually important, and then when you start to understand, okay, this is what's important, then taking risks doesn't seem like such a massive thing.
Absolutely. Taking risks is just a part of the success journey.
You have
it's
to do
part
it.
of what you have to do.
Have
the
to
losses
jump.
will come.
Yeah.
You will get some losses.
Yeah.
You will lose some serious money. But the thing that I find in losing, you learn something. The lesson is greater than the loss, because the lesson that you will have learned from something not having gone right or buying the wrong thing, it gets you to actually do things properly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then in the longer run, that becomes your brand.
Yeah.
So the thing that you sell to other people to be like, okay, no, this is why our product is always on point, the quality, is because I wouldn't even call them losses. I'll call them lessons, bro.
Well, yeah.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? You have to go through that.
Yeah.
The same thing that you said, I've had it. I've bought things I bought something, spent a lot of money, and it's not functional. It's not the thing that it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, you live and you learn. I mean, I think like experience is the best teacher.
Absolutely.
It's the greatest teacher.
Absolutely.
So unless you jump and you try things and you see what's working, see what doesn't work, then how are you ever going to get to wherever you want?
Exactly.
Like there's like, I've had a few people that I've done work with clients and stuff, and they're like, I I really had an idea of doing TikTok and doing this and da. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Are you like, what are you doing about that?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, not really done anything. I've had like, I've got an account, but I've not put any videos out. I'm like, well,
how's that going to get anywhere?
What are you like, you know what I mean? So you've got to jump, you've got to try things. Yeah. And I think the thing for me is people are afraid of being judged. And like, especially being creative, it's such a personal thing because a lot of the things you do are from a passionate place.
You're putting yourself out. You're bearing your heart and soul on the line. Yeah.
So being like, for instance, music, for instance, like a lot of that is very personal to a lot of artists. Bruh. So when you put that work out, and someone like, I speak about the guy, the person who critiqued my project before. It almost felt like a personal attack, but then
it will feel like that.
I had to take a step back and think, oh, wait a second, it's not that. And the thing is, because they just want the best for me, and you'd rather have someone being brutally honest than someone
telling you everything you want to hear, and then it's
fluffing
like
up the ego. Yeah,
do you get my point? Because how do you get better if people don't criticize you or they don't tell you? Mind you, I'm saying this. I'm not very good at taking criticism. As I've said, I'm learning. I'm growing as well. I've understood like criticism sometimes. I just need to learn. I don't know how it's going to go, but I will learn. Even though I may not take it well in the moment, I still respond on it, and I'll go back and look to be like, do you know what, that person actually had a point in what they say to me. So how can I take some of the things that they've said and actually implement it in order to, obviously within reason, in order to get better. But as you've said, when it comes to creative work, it's because I'm bearing my soul, I'm putting my time, I am putting my money. So sometimes you'll be thinking, fam, my heart is in this, but just because your heart is in it, it doesn't mean you can't grow.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you can't get better.
Exactly.
Do you get my point? So and then again, the autonomy is on you, right? You can decide to take that or not. And if you decide not to, so be it.
Yeah, exactly.
You move on that way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But so you spoke about the creative work. What I wanted to do before we jump into the work, because I know that will be a lit conversation. And before we even do that, we'll listen to a snippet of your work and that sort of thing. But I want to ask you, I know you went to university. It surprised me that you went to uni because you're naturally a creative, and sometimes creatives just decide to jump into the work straight away and they don't go the education route. But that's another story to say, education teaches you more than just the theoretical methods. It gives you a certain awareness and a certain what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you're more go on.
It's critical thinking, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the word.
It's the ability to look at a situation from a lot of different
views,
perspectives. Perspectives. So that's I would say that is the main thing that I probably, and a lot of people don't realize, that you take from studying a subject at university.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just, because the whole thing about that is, I used to think that there was an answer for everything, but then actually there isn't an answer for everything. So you need to, so the higher marks that people were getting was when they were exploring
critical
things.
They encourage critical thinking in you. They even ask, do your own reading, do your own research, and what they want in assignments is for you to present an argument. It's not just you agree or you disagree. It's what is your argument and how can you lay that out.
So when I say in terms of sort of like discovery, like you're gonna get more points or whatever, I don't know, more of a standing in terms of being what's the word, recognized when you have come with a point where no one else has come with that same point before, or when you're questioning something that is a point, and then you're expanding into different areas that maybe no one's ever expanded before.
Absolutely.
When people when you become a doctor of something or a professor of something,
I was actually going to say that, bro.
Because you can't do the same thesis as someone else that's done before. So it's pushing the boundaries. You're always unless you're an actual medical doctor, that's different. But like for instance, take my dad for instance. He came up with some sort of theory, and he was pushing some theory in terms of topology or whatever. Topology. I can't even pronounce it, bro. It's a mad thing.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But what I'm saying is, like, he basically was recognized because of not just going with the status quo. You have to push
Absolutely
the boundaries. What's possible?
Yes.
What if this? What if that? That's where the critical thinking comes in. You get me?
Exactly.
Because that's how people grow. That's how you grow something. That's how that's how you progress something. That's how you progress a sound as a producer. You push the boundaries. Doing something where like is not technically, like for instance, the use of auto-tune, right? So technically speaking, the way it's used, especially by rappers, isn't how
it's supposed to be used.
Well, it wasn't how it was designed to be used.
Yeah. It was supposed to be like incognito, isn't
exactly,
it? Where you don't realize it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, people they still use it in that way, but it's now almost like, take a DJ, the turntable. Turntables weren't designed to be used in sync scratching. It was basically that came out of a situation where they wanted to keep the party going.
Oh wow!
So people dancing. They wanted people dancing. So what they did is instead of listening to, because music back then was very much like you get a break beat where the song might break for a bit with the instruments, and then you get the vocals and that type of thing. And people wanted to keep people dancing. So what you do is you take two of the same record and you keep the break beat looping on that side. Once that's coming to an end, you loop that one. So that's how they kept the beat going. So when it comes to actual sort of like the design of the technology, they basically realized, oh, what we can do is we can take two decks, buy two records, and we can keep the same record going for like 5-10 minutes. And we keep people dancing to the breakbeat.
Oh wow!
So that's how it
came about. Yeah. Yo, that was inspired.
That's why. So that is also why when you hear hip hop samples, it's a loop of a section, right? So they're looping a section. So that is also, that sound, that whole genre has come from the taking a piece of technology that wasn't designed
for that purpose, for something else. So this is what I'm saying. So if you don't push the boundaries, you're not going to know. You're not going to discover.
This is what I'm saying. So we wouldn't have had hip hop. We wouldn't have had that without sound system culture, without parties. That whole thing led that people to take technology that they could get access to then create a whole new culture.
So brilliant. You know, and so many things have been designed that way. A lot of things that have come out, they've come from not knowing, you know, they were meant to serve a certain purpose, but they've ended up serving a completely different
microwaves,
right? Blue pills was discovered for something else, but then you ended up, you know, pushing, keeping on pushing the boundaries, and you don't know what you're going to discover. Hence why I'll plug myself in. Even this podcast, that's why I call it Let Inspiration Take Over. Because what I believe is when two people are having a conversation, let it just happen, because there are things that are just going to come that we don't know where they're going to come from. The gods will bless us and they will grace us, and we're going to have an amazing conversation that ends up speaking, you know, to somebody. And that's what I prefer. I prefer to listen to like an inspired conversation as opposed to one that's too structured. Don't get me wrong, I still do my homework and I still do my research and everything else, but half the time I only ever use like 5%.
I think there's there's times where you have a question that you want to ask someone, where that is something I want to find out. And then the answer that you thought you were going to get is like
not it.
But then you can pull from that question, and then you can start going down a rabbit hole, and it gets deeper. You get me?
Absolutely, bro. This is why though also having an open mind is so important. Even we all have biases. Right. I know I have my own biases, and biases generally come from upbringing. They come from social circles, you know, the friends that you hang around, where you grew up, the way you were raised. That designs all your biases, which is fine. However, what's not fine is imposing your biases on other people, because you will never get anything that way. But if you keep an open mind and you keep an inquisitive one, you will find out so much more. And what that does, it actually grows you.
100%.
Even your wealth, you will discover things that you didn't know by actually being open-minded, as opposed to if you're closed off, people are not going to be open with you either.
Of course. And that's where constructive dialogue happens, where people come to the table with an open mind, and they'd be like, look, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about that. Can you
tell me? Can you educate me about it?
And then it might even be that, oh, actually, we can find a lot of commonalities and similarities in things that we thought, oh, actually, I thought that was
we're different.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you're actually really similar to me than I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine, look at, when you're describing the way you were raised, your childhood and your household, that's mine.
There you go.
I would have never guessed, bro, like with how you are and everything that you've done. We come from completely different backgrounds. Come from Congolese, Amzami, not that different because we're both Southern African, that sort of thing. But still, you were describing things and the way you were telling your story could have easily been mine.
Exactly,
the way you told your words, if I told them, it's just my childhood experiences. Parties and listening to Christian music, listening to Coffee Olomide Day and all these little things. That's what I grew up around. Even though like now I'm a podcaster, right? But still creativity was always in my blood. As I was saying, even in terms of judo, but I was just always this inquisitive kid. And as a kid, I spoke a lot and I used to ask a lot of questions as a kid. But then sometimes people will be like, if you ask too many questions, something wrong or there's something odd about you. Little did I know I'll be doing, a career, I'll call it a career, asking people questions. But when I was a child, it's like, you ask too many questions and what's wrong with you? Why'd you ask so many questions?
And the thing with like that you're talking about, like the old way of doing things, where people have probably been brought up in a system which tells you shouldn't ask questions,
exactly,
you shouldn't do that. But now we're living in a world where you are sort of in most respects, people will encourage you to sort of utilize the gifts, the natural gifts that you have,
absolutely,
and push you in that direction. So like it might not be that you want to be a podcaster when you're younger, but the fact that no one's going to be sort of putting you in a box for asking lots of questions is now opening your mind to the thought, actually, wait a second,
I'm gonna ask questions for a living.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean. So
even though as a kid I was told, why'd you ask so many questions?
Or keep quiet, or
keep quiet. You talk too much, and that's another thing. Raising. I told you I've got two kids. I know you've got your child as well, which we'll speak about a little bit later on. I will be teaching my kids to have an inquisitive mind. I want them to be open-minded. I want them to challenge me. I will be teaching them things that some people don't see value in. As you say, piano is one of the things that, especially my daughter, she's just intelligent. She's creative. Like she's a whole different human being. And I'm like, I really want to encourage and harness more of her full potential. Is not directly related to me. This is her journey, is her life. Me as her parent, all I can do is to see how do I really help her to fulfill her potential. Not in a way of like putting pressure. I mean, you must do this. And no, I mean, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There isn't anything that you as a human being have to do to win my approval, as your parent. I am your parent, but all I can do, as your parent is see how I can help you, be better as a human being, which, as you were describing, something that, let me not say I never got it. I did get it in some aspects, but a lot of African households, we don't get that. There's certain things that they feel perhaps they don't see value in for whatever reason, whether they feel it's going to cost them money, whether they think it's a waste of time, or it would derail you. So they won't do it, not knowing that you're missing out on so much, which is why I want to get to this point. When we go to places like university, I don't know what your experience was, but you'll find that sometimes you're behind because some of the people that are there, they've been taught critical thinking from an early age. They've been taught extracurricular activities and all these things that they've been learning since they were a child, which means that the way they handle things, the way they present their arguments is completely different. They'll be getting like fierce and everything else.
So I think that's a cultural thing. So like, for instance, okay, let's just take it again, like a cultural thing. So a lot of Black and African kids or people who've grown up in this system, who have parents who are from abroad, who have grown up in a different culture, different system, had to come and start from scratch, basically.
Yes.
In terms of their parents are probably working class. They've probably got jobs where it takes up a lot of time. They can't spend a lot of time when the kids get older, like teenage years. They can't really spend a lot of formative time, years, sort of like being involved in those activities that the kids are involved in, because they have to work, they have to pay the bills. They're trying to financially
balance
fund
things out.
They try to financially fund your dreams or fund their kids or whatever. So when it comes to people of this land, inverted commas.
I know, right?
When you have a generational sort of like, basically when you have a generational sort of lineage of,
yes,
my grandfather used to have a shop and he built clocks for people, and his brother had another company. It was maybe a printing company. My dad learned this off this and this off that. They get passed that down to their kids, because it might be that they've been in a more advanced position in terms of, they might have been passed down inheritance where they can afford a better house, live in a better area, whatever, that type of thing. What happens then is they might have a business themselves. Their parents might have a business themselves because of the advantages that they had from the previous generations, right?
Absolutely.
So then that information just gets passed down and just keeps passing down. Whereas maybe in a situation of me and you, our parents were sort of I don't know about you, but in terms of Congo, the system was created there. Yeah. There was a created system there, which wasn't. It's not very old. You can go back maybe 4 or 5 generations, and you'll find that it was the system wasn't in place.
It wasn't.
Obviously, you got the whole history of colonization, and all of that. All of this plays an important part of. There's a knock-on effect, right?
Absolutely.
So knowing how to set up your own business in somewhere like Congo is completely different to doing it somewhere here. There's rules here.
Yes.
In terms of like licenses,
regulations.
It's completely different. So it's a different experience. You don't get the same level of information, same level of knowledge, the same level of experience that's passed down to you. So the way you communicate about something is different compared to someone who might have had that education from home. I think about like all of my brethren now that have businesses, and like I look at what were their parents doing. Majority of their parents had maybe a small business. They might have had like a corner shop or whatever, or like or they might have had like parents that maybe did something small, but never. I didn't know anyone who had a parent that had owned like a trucking company or like or whatever. But you will get people who grew up knowing someone, or their parents knowing someone who might be affiliated or whatever. Yeah. It's not the case for everyone.
No.
But this is what I'm saying. When you get to university, you'll get 1 or 2, maybe 4 or 5 of those people who had that sort of experience, and they will be in your remit.
Vicinity.
Your remit.
Yes.
So I'm not saying it's a level playing field after a while, but then you start to pick up things off of them. You start to learn things off it. Learn things off of how they've been brought up. Yeah. And then that you take that on.
Yes.
So in terms of university and that whole experience, I think, again, this is another, what I said before about dealing with people. It teaches you how to deal with people, because people come from different backgrounds, and you take things from them. Absolutely. In terms of like, okay, how can I add that piece of information that I think is valuable to what I'm doing? So like, so I think also living with, if I don't know how you did it, but living with new people, especially that from different backgrounds,
experience.
That's another thing.
Sharing.
You know what I'm saying? That's another thing, but I think that's an important process. There was one of my friends at the moment, like when he came to uni, he'd never been to school with a black person before.
Oh wow.
Never, ever. And I was like,
had he met black people?
Yeah, he's met them, but he said he's never really like
experienced.
You know, and like there were things that like we would talk about and stuff, and he's like, oh, so it's
just all right. Same. Yeah, because I will tell you, like, sometimes people function based off of stereotypes. Yeah, right. And I mean, that's a whole another podcast, but yeah. I
also think with stereotypes, it's you can't blame, and this is within reason again, you can't blame people for how they were educated or being brought up.
I'm saying all you could do is try and educate them.
Yeah. So like there are people who, like, for instance, didn't realize what they were saying would be offensive or racist, like little jokes or whatever, or not even jokes, but just things that they would say it, and it's like, oh, you can't really say that anymore, bro. Like, oh, that's offensive or whatever. They didn't know that because from where they come from, in their culture, it's just a thing now.
Yes.
Maybe it was considered offensive at the time, but now it's just a thing where people just say things off the cuff. You get me?
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, nah, you can't. You've got to understand that, like, people coming from this culture will find this offensive if you say this to them or whatever. So it's you can't. People are oblivious to the fact that the system that they've been indoctrinated into has colored their thinking in a way that, oh, wait a second, this is like, for instance, obviously this is just because this has happened recently, the Meghan Markle thing with the Queen. With Harry, sorry. Where the way people, like Piers Morgan, for instance, the way he was talking about
describe
her,
yes,
people were saying, oh, he's being racist, but then there were other people on the other hand that were like, he's not being racist, he's not saying anything. But people don't understand. There's a difference between overt racism and there's an underlying tone.
Yes,
underlying tone.
There was certain things that you will say that are borderline,
exactly.
right?
Well, not even borderline, but why are you saying this about this person?
And you wouldn't say the same thing about...
and that person's done twice as worse things.
Exactly. You never mentioned the other person, right? Yeah,
so for instance,
right.
I mean, it's completely different things, but like the Prince Andrew situation, like there were a lot of people who said nothing about even the
ones
affiliation.
that are normally vocal about other things. The guy that you mentioned,
So
I don't think he said much about that.
There was a lot of like those things. Again, it's like when you think about the tonality of how things are said, that's where you start to realize, oh, okay, there's a bias here. There's a bias here. Why is there a bias here? It's there's an underlying tone of racism here, where people aren't aware of this because the system that they've been indoctrinated in doesn't allow them to see that.
Absolutely.
When people were pulling down statues in lockdown, and people were like, oh, like, no, these lot are vandals and
hooligans, and why are they doing this?
But then you think about it, okay, but why is there a statue of someone who's racist, of someone who was a slave, of someone why would you? It's almost like saying, and I heard this on another podcast. It's almost like saying, we abused you,
so
like,
and just get
over it. But we're gonna put a picture up of the person who abused you,
remind you,
just so that you know what I mean, to put you.
It's insidious. The thing behind it is a little bit not even a little bit. It's just insidious.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So I absolutely understand where you're coming from with that particular point. I wanted to jump into as well the work. Right?
Yeah.
So as we stated, there's a video that I saw on YouTube, Glory. In fact, I'd like to play that right now.
Go for it,
so let me just connect it. So what I'll do, we'll play it, and then perhaps we could just jump into the creative process and all the other little bits. So yeah, today it's a whole setup, guys. It's going to be a vibe.
Yeah. Real life, all they wanna do is critique, asking me questions like, where you from, blood? Learn no lessons, what you want, blood? You don't wanna test the guys, rolling with my clique, jump out the Benz like 4x4 like an X5. Online bras wanna sex, cause I broke shit down like an enzyme. Slipping a bit sweet, letting it slide, me and my dogs at a venomous 5. Still unsigned on a venomous 5. Get my 1 ace on, I ain't telling them twice, cause they didn't wanna see me in this, they didn't wanna see me in this. Leave them boy there when we progress. Won't stop till I drop, or they see me dead doing it. Just wanna talk, but they run from me. It's long for me, I learned to leave, turn the cheek, murder beats on Mercury seas like Hercules. I serve the beach, just know I'm going in for the glory. Doing it all day, all night, always alright. Still I'm going in for the glory. Doing it all day, all night, always alright. I'm from West Yorkshire, home of with the goons in the best office.
Yes.
Try to act cool, but it gets awkward.
Hey.
Try to act the fool and you get slaughtered.
What?
Back as a young and I was chilling on chalk road. With my besties and my black bros.
Bro, I love this, you know.
Bumping that T2
Guys,
and
you need to
battlers.
check
Leading
this
them
video
up,
out.
ain't no rest, going wild in
if you
hair,
haven't
my
already.
dialect express is a
Telling
vibe
you.
in the hair.
Alright,
Ain't gonna stop
we'll leave
till
it
they
at that. I
see me
just
dropping
wanted
this
that
speedy popping
snippet.
off.
Yeah,
Nobody
so-
safe card, they don't wanna see me in ends, nah. They don't wanna see me in ends. You don't want stress blood, you know my flex cut, you know I'm next up. I been going in for the glory, glory. Doing it all day, all night, always alright. Still I'm going in for the glory.
Take a moment to
Glory, glory, doing it all day, all night, always alright.
So yes, bro, that video, as I was saying, Glory, right?
man.
We'll start
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
The title, Glory. Where did the title come from? First of all,
The name actually was different from what, like the first, when I made the song, it was basically different, the different title.
okay,
But I sat down with my manager and like we talk quite a lot about a vision and having a vision in terms of like something meaning something, basically having a meaning. And he pulled out some things about the song
okay,
that I was thinking about but not thinking about consciously, if that makes sense.
okay.
So the idea of the song basically is that when I was sort of going through my adolescent phase, teenage years and stuff like that, I was very sort of like, you know, roadman, like, you know what I mean, just part of the man them, you know what I mean, that type of thing. But that was my upbringing from just the culture. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So
yeah, that was just standard with everyone.
But because of my other experiences and growing up in a different culture, and like when I was really young, and then just again like household upbringing and stuff, I always still had this thing where I was always wanting to outgrow or not be trapped in the cycle of, because again I'm a very I take things in from sort of looking at things, so try to look at what's happening and what was happening to a lot of my friends at the times. They were going jail, or they were getting into sort of beefs and getting stabbed and stuff like that. So like the idea for me was that like I'm going for the glory. I'm not here to sort of be part of this cycle. But then like it's just telling people about the ends, about how we grew up, what we were going through, just like painting a picture of like, this is how it was, but I was always trying to elevate,
be better.
yeah, to be better than rather than let it consume me, rather than let it be the thing that people define me as. You get me?
Yeah,
so
I hear you.
I think that was, and he basically pulled out and said, yeah, glory. It's like
Brilliant.
Like that's
the title was
paints the picture.
inspired.
Yeah,
I love
paints
that.
the picture of what
Yes,
you're trying
bro.
to say.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from, basically.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask, could you perhaps talk us through the process of writing it, like from inception? Perhaps just the quirky things that you normally don't.
So I actually produced the record as well.
There you go. Brilliant.
So the majority of when I do something from scratch where the music isn't there, there's always already an idea.
Okay.
So I'll, again, because I'm a visual artist as well. Like,
wow.
everything is like a story, a movie in my head before.
Right.
Yeah, before I try to get it on a canvas. So I'm already thinking like, okay, this in the song before
you even go.
I've even written the verse.
Before you even go, how do you get that out of your head? I'll tell you, I'm also a visualizer just like you. Right. The way I do it is audio notes, or I do write notes. Yeah. So an idea will just pop into my head. I'll quickly write it down. So once it's written down, it's cemented, or once I've recorded, it's how do you get that out of your head?
Exactly the same process. Yeah. So like like I'll usually start with melody. Start with the idea. So the idea would be, okay, I want to paint a picture of where we grew up, the ends, that type of thing. And you mention this, and you talk about this, and you talk about this, where we grew up. So all these things are sort of like things that mentally are already there.
Right.
I already know that, but it's kind of like, okay, now I need to roadmap it. I need to create a map. I need to create a map of how to go. Journey. How does the story go? How does it end? So I'll either write things down, or I'll do an audio note, like you said. Main thing is then the melody is sort of like, again, I try to, camera's gone off. I try to, mine, sorry.
Okay.
I try to basically get to a point where I've roadmapped the idea in my head or in note form.
Okay.
Then I can go and create the rest of it and just build the whole picture.
Brilliant.
With melodies and stuff, I might hum a melody into the thingy. Do the beat,
Right.
the drums, like beatbox the drums into the thing. Yeah,
That's what I really wanted to hear about.
Yeah, so
Go ahead. Yeah.
It basically it just serves as a reference, especially like, for instance, if you want to get an idea down and you're not at home or you're not in the studio,
just the recording, right?
Just beatbox it, hum it. Yeah.
Do you know, like, the beat? Does it just come to you? Like, where you just and then
it'll literally be,
you feel it.
Yeah. You'll find like like you'll be sat there or you'll be walking and you'll just start humming a melody.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me save this, and then you might think, oh, actually, I can hear drums.
Yeah.
Drums will start coming in. Okay, I've got it. Let me just quickly save this as an idea on my phone.
Yes.
I've got hundreds and hundreds
there
of voice notes.
You go, bro.
And this is the thing. And some things don't get made. Some
really?
Some things don't ever get made. But there are some things that are like, oh yeah, I can make this. The other part of this process of this song was trying to figure things out. So I had the base of it, the melody there, and it's like you get there and you think, okay, this song's doesn't feel quite finished. So you start figuring out what to put in it in terms of creating and producing a song. It's all about understanding the dynamics of the song.
Okay.
So like understanding where things need to crescendo in order to tell the story, in order to, like, a dramatic point in the song.
Yes.
Okay, I need to take the drums out here. I need to so again, you're always thinking of the overall picture.
There you go.
When you're producing a song, rather than just being, oh, I need a good melody and a good beat. The best songs, the greatest songs have dynamics in them where they flow. It gets you sort of, it's a build up. There's a build up towards the chorus or the whatever, and then you build up to this grand moment. Then it might drop again.
There you go.
And then it creates tension. That creates tension.
Okay, so, I didn't even know this. So
the
I
whole,
just vibed to it. Like, oh, wow,
but
something happened.
These things are intentional.
Okay.
From an unconscious point of view.
Right.
So I already understand the dynamics of how to put a song together, and also sometimes I'm not even just thinking of just the song. I'm thinking this song's going to go on this project. I need to make this song feel or fit like this on this project. And it needs to be like this because when you're listening to the project, you need to feel a certain way here.
Right.
So the intention.
Oh, so you actually think about the emotion of what the listener should be going through.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not know that.
So
it's an education.
So it's not so much you don't want to tell people what to think, because the whole idea of art is that it's people
take it how they will, because they'll have people will take it differently.
Exactly.
Each person will be affected differently by your art.
But
there you go.
It's more trying to create a scenario where the audience has to feel a certain way. It's almost like when you're watching a film, right?
Yeah.
Like my missus always she gets at me because there are things that I find funny
that she just doesn't get.
No, but they're not actually meant to be funny.
That's me, bro. That's dark humor, right? I think it's from watching. You know, when I was young, I used to watch a lot of The Simpsons and those American shows that make fun of serious situations. But when I think about it, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be laughing.
Exactly. I
hear you. Yeah.
So it's like that. It's like basically finding the undertones of like either humor or sadness or pain, where you can bring that out in the music. So if you listen to drill music, like that whole culture comes from a situation where that youth and that generation feels like they've been neglected. You get me? And it's like there's pain in that thingy. So they talk about sort of like doing things to each other.
Yes.
Where that's all they know. That's all they've been brought up. That's all. So the music is going to reflect the culture,
what they know, where they come from. This is what they've got, and there's something really profound about that as well. It's like they're using something that affected, or let's say afflicted them to actually turn it into something that gives them bread.
Exactly.
But you will find that there are people that will come against that to be like, oh, you're perpetuating violence and oh, this music is toxic and that kind of thing. But the way you've described it has actually made me think about it completely different.
If you look at the history of music, all music, it always reflects what's happening in society right now. If you think about blues and jazz music, that came out of an era of where people were going through, they call it the Great Depression in America, right? Where everything was no jobs. People were struggling to make ends meet. So the music reflected the feeling. How do I feel right now, right? So if you want to affect culture, you basically, you reflect, you don't affect it, you reflect it.
You reflect it, yeah.
So if you think about like all the biggest artists at the moment, where they've all come from a situation where they are going through things right now and they are telling you a story of right now. And the reason why people connect with that and why it blows up is because people can relate to it in some sort of shape, way, or fashion.
Brilliant.
So it might be that like you get these sort of like teenage white girls that'll go to a drill concert, but there is something in the music where they can connect with it, and they'll sing the lyrics where it might be that they've been neglected in a certain way, or that the older generation isn't understanding them, so they're rebelling. So there's always been a genre where there's been some sort of rebellious nature to it. And that reflects young culture. So like you think about rock music back in the 70s and the 60s, a lot of that was there's a punk rock. Punk rock was born and birthed out of the rebellious nature of not conforming to society and stuff like that. But the whole point of it as well is that these punk rockers, they weren't perfect musicians.
There you go.
The reason why you make a band is because, or a singing band, is because you can't, like, everyone doesn't sing amazing.
Exactly.
So you put everyone together
and then you capture that melody.
It sounds good. So this is the thing about music. It's like you design it in a way to affect people, and that design has been influenced by the culture.
Brilliant.
That's it.
That's so perfectly put, bro. Like there's so many things that you are saying. It's educating me right now, and I knew it was going to be a masterclass in artistry. And it's been so much. It's given so much. There's a song you sent me, Tomorrow. I was vibing to it yesterday. I was listening to it. I was like, bro, I really want to get into, behind the song, especially starting with the cover. There's a cover that you sent me, which is interesting. It kind of seems like, I think it's a childhood photo and that sort of thing. Before we dive into it, let me just see if we can just do a quick sample.
Tomorrow,
That tomorrow is like, it gives me like Lion King vibes. It's like the African.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
And then the drums come in. Yeah, we'll come to it. Wow, this song is a vibe, you know.
Thank you.
I'm telling you.
Thank you.
So many nights I spent crafting, trying to catch my breath, thinking about tomorrow. So many nights I spent working, but you know, my friend, there's gonna be tomorrow. Where you go, baby, leave your stress now. No more letdowns, we are blessed now. Where you go, baby, thinking about you daily. Yesterday was a promise to you, so today you know what to do. Live your life like there is no tomorrow. Live your life like there is no tomorrow. When I was a little young boy, I no worry for my troubles. Wish I could bring back the good times. Celebrate cause we got one life, but live for one night. Where you go, baby, leave
Ntantu.
Yo.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bro, listen. You know, this is why I'm putting the sample so that the work speaks for itself, because sometimes I think if you just describe it, it doesn't do it justice. But you'll be listening to it, by the way, Full HD. I've upgraded my setup today purely for this podcast, just to make sure that I do justice,
man,
you know, to it and that sort of thing, just to make sure. And I mean, that's what we do as a podcast. But tomorrow, I was fascinated by the cover, for starters, that you sent me. And I knew immediately there's a story, you know, behind that cover. There's a story just behind it. And there's a story as it relates to the song. So perhaps if you could just briefly talk us through the cover. No, not the whole story. Keep it brief. And then, we can jump into the song and the process and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. So let's start from the beginning. Okay. So before lockdown, I changed my name as an artist.
Okay.
So we basically went back to basics, and my manager challenged me. He said, "Look, you make great music, but no one knows who you are. So we need to build a story, tell a story about who you are, what you've been through, that type of thing."
Yeah.
And then I started working on this project, and lockdown was almost like a blessing in disguise. It gave me the time to finish the project, and the idea of the project was a journey of self-discovery.
Okay.
Who am I? And again, this had all happened before lockdown, in terms of going through that journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
And learning and having to reflect and things like that. And this song is very much the culmination of that whole process of reflection, of going through almost like self-therapy, if that makes sense. You get me? So it's kind of like just understanding that and being comfortable with who you are. And I had to go back in order to go forward.
Okay.
But at the same time, it taught me that you have to be present. You have to be in the moment. You have to live in the moment, because all of that affects going forward, what happens, and actually it turns into the past. So if you focus on right now, the present, the moment, that type of thing, and control as much as you can control in your space, that will then determine your future, and that will set your legacy.
There you go.
So that photo is basically a photo of family.
Okay,
and that family, it is quite chaotic in the background, isn't it? Like,
yes, it's like there's a lot going on and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So like you got my little brother crying, my sister's trying to sort of console it. I'm there playing with toy guns. Yes. In the background. So that's the sort of the metaphor behind it. Sort of like, I grew up in a very family's important to me. You get me? It's really important to me.
Okay.
But it wasn't always perfect. It was there's a little bit of chaos there in terms of like, not upbringing so much, but in terms of just experiences and this whole album again is a whole point of going through all that chaos from when I was younger, from like getting in trouble, like when I was younger, like having beef for people, that type of thing. Having to discover yourself in terms of like where I want to go,
growing
to uni,
up, maturing,
going to uni, going through different experiences. Then being like, I needed to go through all that pain. I needed to go through all that anxiety, all that trouble, in order to be like in this position. So that whole photo, basically, that almost tells the story of the album in one cover. It's me going back to my sort of my roots and my family, and being like, that's what's important. That's the core thing for me. And also remembering when I was younger, all of these things that are problems now, like you didn't even think that they were a problem when you were younger.
It was all good.
It's like we make we make so much out of small things and things that we think are big. We sort of inflate these things to it's a problem if I can't do this. It's a problem if I can't get the new iPhone. It's a problem if I can't.
Why don't I have this? It's a problem if somebody has that and I don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. So we inflate all of these things. But when we were younger, we didn't have. I mean, we were nice. We were good.
But there are a lot of things. I get what you mean. There are a lot of material things you didn't have, but you were still happy.
Exactly. We were like the poorest people on the block. You know what I mean? And it was like you felt it. Like you saw other people for Christmas. Like I remember
games.
I got to like Christmases. People would come out and they had like 6, 7, 8, 9 different toys. I had just one toy.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember.
But that taught me the value of not having to sort of expect things, expect a present. That taught me like a lot of valuable lessons that I take forward today. You get me? So
You're right.
yeah, that cover again, it just explains that whole journey. You get me? So,
I was saying I come from similar backgrounds in that I had a friend that had like Sega, I think it's a Sega Mega Drive game with cartridges, right? So he was the guy back in the day. There's nothing we don't have that, and you know, and that sort of thing. But you still found ways to keep yourself entertained, to keep yourself happy, and that sort of thing. Now that I'm older, you know, I've got all this tech and things like that, and it doesn't make me any happier. It's more for functionality.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think sometimes it's your perception of things, the things that you think you want. I always say this, do you even really want them? Even situations, I say sometimes people think they convince themselves they want to be in certain situations, but do you even really want to be in that situation? Because you find that you are in it and it's not what your idea tells you
exactly.
it is. I'll be honest with you, tech and everything else, it doesn't make me any happier. Right? The car I drive, of course, I want to drive a good, nice car because I work really hard and it's just a thing to, but I don't think it makes me any more happy having certain car than not having it or having certain things. It's like,
I think those
you know,
material things, they give you I say pleasure. They give you like a boost of
yes,
like
endorphins, right?
So
you're feeling yourself in it. It's
exactly.
like
and I think it's important to always have experiences that make you feel that way.
Yes,
but you can't live your life trying to think that materials are gonna give you that feeling all the time. I think it's more the result, the desired result that's gonna give you that feeling. It's more like for instance, you're working on this podcast.
Yes,
you want to get it to this point.
Yes,
but it's not about the equipment. It's just it's just you just want to get to that point. But you know that you have to invest in the equipment to do that.
Absolutely.
So the tech thing. It'll give you a little bit of pleasure to think, I've now boosted up my production value. My production value. Oh, it's great. Yeah. And but 5 years down the line, if you've still got that same equipment, that it doesn't really matter.
Exactly,
you know
because you're still being able to deliver the product. And mind you, believe it or not, this is what actually gives me more pleasure. Like the process of creating, making something, you know, that wasn't there before from scratch, where this conversation that we've had has added so much value, right? Such an education. It wasn't there before. And I've made it happen, bringing you here. You've made it happen by coming, pouring your soul, telling us giving us so much information that we didn't have. And I remember I was saying to a friend, I was like, man, this guy's coming. He's an artist. And I just have a really good feeling about this conversation, this, this podcast we're going to be having. I said, I literally use these words. So it's going to be a masterclass in artistry. Is what I said. I had no clue, bro. I had no clue that it really would be.
Come on, man.
You know, classes in session
that
and
means a lot, man. That means a lot.
No, listen, it's not something just saying like to gush you up or anything. Anybody who can go back, listen back to it. The evidence is there. We've played the work, we've played the art, and you've described it absolutely brilliantly, bro. I mean, we're coming to the end, of the podcast. We could go for hours, you and I speaking, because we're obviously going to do a second part, right? We'll be back to discuss other things, that perhaps to even continue, because I feel there's so much more to touch on that we couldn't cover in one conversation. That the main camera has even gone. That's something I'm gonna have to figure out later. But yes, before we get out of here, though, there is something I wanted to ask you just to to finish us off, which is you mentioned you've got a son, right? Yes, I've got children myself, and I wanted you to perhaps just tell us a little bit about that. As a dad, how has that impacted your artistry, or how has that really changed you as a person, being a dad, or has it even affected or changed you at all?
It's given me more of a drive.
There you go.
For sure. I think you're kind of doing this music and sort of creative stuff for not so much selfishly, but more so like it's more the when you started that goal was so that you could get to a certain level for yourself.
Exactly.
When obviously you start to become a family man, or you start to have a family, or not even a family, even when you've got a missus or a girlfriend or a wife or whatever. Like the reasons why you do it now are different now. That shifts, that perspective shifts. Like now, my whole perspective on why I'm doing this is completely shifted.
Changed.
So like, for instance, I know now that it's not just for the love of it now. Like I'm doing this because I want to now provide a platform, provide for my family now.
For your family, absolutely.
It's a different sort of drive. There's a different hunger that you have when you have a kid in terms of like wanting to be the provider. Especially as a man, especially being a black father as well.
Absolutely, and you take it more seriously, don't you? It's work.
Yeah, because again, like the way I've experienced the world, my upbringing at the moment, like I feel like there are things again that which are still going to make it harder for my kids. You get me? So
absolutely,
there's things that now that I'm thinking of that I previously wasn't thinking of in terms of like how I conduct myself, in terms of where I want to move to, like those little things. You get me? So there's those types of things that have now sort of in now your process of thinking that weren't there before. Yeah. Because now you are a father, you get me? So those things it's important to just take that on board. Always stay true to yourself and stuff. And again, it's given me much more of a drive. I wouldn't say it's changed me in terms of like I feel like I was always sort of this way of thinking in terms of what I thought, but it's definitely added another sort of way of or thing that I needed to think about. You get me? So, yeah.
Absolutely, bro. I mean, so well put. I just thought, that one is an important point to add on. We've touched on so much today. I mean, with that said, I always ask this because just in case I might have missed something. Is there anything that you'd like to add just before we go into the closing in terms of where people can find you, socials and anything?
And of course, man. Yeah. So like for my all my music stuff, it's literally Ntantu now, like literally every platform, Ntantu now.
That's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Well, YouTube, you just search my name, Ntantu, Ntantu. Okay. I do this thing when I do shows where I say get people to repeat my name basically. So, there you go. So they get it like straight away. It's not a sort of like a name that people are used to being able to spell or say and stuff. So it's like. It's just important for me to just get that out there because it's brilliant. And the other thing I want to say, reason why I'm so sort of like about my name in terms of like wanting to get it out there is that as an African man, I feel like in some aspects we in this culture we hide our Africanism in terms of like when we want to present it to the wider world. So like for instance, my name is very sort of like Ntantu. It's very you know what I mean, it's comedy. It's proper. There you go. So, it's brilliant, bro.
So so it's, again like you look at like other companies like that are out there. Tesla, that's someone's name. It is. Ford is someone's name. Yeah. So all of these men have put their name to their company. What they do, Why? That's one of the main reasons why I put my name is because that is my last name. Oh, is that your last name? Yeah, that's my last name. Yeah, bro, that is so sick. That's why I put that down. And I want that to be, and I want my kids to be like, proud of that. Yeah. If you make a company, that's the name you want people to know about. So, bro, like, I thought it was just a moniker. Like you came up with, I was like, it's a cool name. But I just thought, you just creatively came. That's your actual name. That is sick. Bro. So again, that's even more brilliant. That's why it's very important to me in terms of like making sure people know what that is and what that means and what that stands for. So yeah. Absolutely, brother. Listen, you came, you gave, inspiration has taken over today. You've educated us. It's been a masterclass in a lot of things. Like this podcast has actually ended up giving even a lot more than what I expected. Not that I had any expectation, but it's just given quite a bit. I'm so appreciative. I'm so thankful even for the connection, even you taking the time to come to our LiT studios, because I know you're a busy guy, like you're running a business, you're a dad as well, obviously that will get you a family man, you've got your missus and everything else. So very thankful for you gracing us with your time, very thankful for being honest, authentic, and really giving, and the viewers and the listeners, I'm sure they're going to be getting something that's value, so much value, has been given. Guys, another episode brought to you by yours truly, Isaac Speaks, from this LiT podcast. Make sure you
like, follow, subscribe on YouTube. And I hope you enjoyed the session today. As always, we gave our heart, and yeah, that's all we can do really. But yeah, until next time, guys, cheers, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, bro.
You're welcome, bro. Cheers.